Hi, everyone. I'm Alexander Doroshko. I work at JetBrains, and my primary responsibility is Dart support in IntelliJ IDEA, WebStorm, and all other IDEs that JetBrains ships. I guess some of you know me as the guy who answers in the JetBrains issue tracker. Catch me during the break. I've got some stickers for you.
My name is Jaime Wren. I work on the Google side on the Dart plugin. I try to make sure the plugin works with other tools and things internally and whatnot. Alex is first going to show some IntelliJ features that all developers should know using IntelliJ, and then I'm going to walk through some Dart and Flutter and maybe even Angular specific things in the Dart plugin that you should know. We are super lucky to have Alex here from JetBrains, and he has worked on the Dart plugin for IntelliJ longer than we have here at Google. So again, for Alex, we're really lucky to have him.
Thank you. Using shortcuts, using keyboard is more productive than using mouse. You'll see the shortcuts I use right on the screen for all operating systems, thanks to the Presentation Assistant plugin. And I think the first shortcut to learn is Command-Shift-A, which stands for the action, find action. For example, type Dart here. You'll see not only Dart-related, Dart-specific actions like sort members in Dart file, but also all options and settings related to Dart, like show closing labels in Dart source code. If you find yourself invoking some action from time to time and the action doesn't have a default shortcut, go ahead and assign a custom shortcut. Well, I know we're all too lazy to open preferences, open key map page, search for the action, and assign a shortcut there. I'll show you a faster way. Normally we use Alt-Enter to invoke in the editor to invoke a quick fix or intention action, but it does the trick in the find action pop-up as well. For example, I want to assign a shortcut to focus the Dart analysis tool window. So I find it in the find action pop-up and press Alt-Enter. What happened? This phone is on this button.
One moment. This is a live demo. The only slide that we had, you've already seen. You should be good.
Okay.
Where's the other project?
I'm sorry. So I turn Dart analysis in the find action pop-up and press Alt-Enter. Did you know the feature? A bigger challenge is to find a backend shortcut. Luckily, you see the shortcut conflicts right here. And once you've found a shortcut, don't try to press Enter or Escape. Probably this is the only dialog in IntelliJ IDEA that you cannot close using keyboard. So I click OK. And now I can use a shortcut to open and close the Dart analysis tool window. Know that to be able to assign a shortcut right from the find action pop-up, you need to have an editable key map. So once in your life, you need to open the key map page and create an editable copy. Sorry, this is boring. I think we need to make this step not required in the future. Let me find something else using the find action pop-up. These days, many developers have very wide and large monitors, and the default tool window layout doesn't look perfect. Side tool windows are limited in height, and the one at the bottom is too wide. OK, open find action and type widescreen. From here, you may jump to the corresponding checkbox in Preferences or toggle the option right from here. You see? This way is better for wide screens. But I personally prefer not to have tool windows shown on the screen at all. So one of my favorite shortcuts is Command-Shift-F12. It hides all tool windows and leaves you one-on-one with the editor. Well, if I need them back, I'd press it again. But I rarely use tool windows for navigation purposes. To browse through the project structure, I prefer using the navigation bar. The shortcut is Command-Up. If the navigation bar is visible on the screen, it gets the focus. If it's not, you get a lightweight navigation bar pop-up. Here you may browse through the project structure, create new folders and files with Command-N, and do whatever you may need in a project view. To jump to a different file, I use Command-Shift-O. Here you may search not only for files, but also for folders, or for files. Like I did in a specific folder, just type any part of any folder name and a part of a file name. To jump to a different class, I use Command-O. Here, as well as in all other places, the search box understands camel case, snake case, middle matching. If you remember a method or a field name, but not sure where it is located, use go-to symbol, Command-Alt-O. For example, if I type main, I'll see all the entry points in my project. And as everywhere else, I don't have to jump to the source, jump to the file to see its source. I can use the action quick preview, Alt space, and see the source right here. Some people find the search everywhere action handy, double shift. It searches for files, classes, and symbols, and more in one shot. The navigation action that I heavily use is Command-Shift-Backspace. It jumps to the last edit locations. We have restarted the IDE, and we don't have edit locations. But if we have Command-Shift-Backspace, should do the trick. Sorry, next time. OK, to navigate within a file, use file structure pop-up, Command-Shift-F12. Command-F12, sorry. It shows the same as the structure tool window, filters as you type, and allows to jump to a specific field or method, or even a test case if you're inside a test file. More about navigation within a file. You know, in the top right corner of the editor, there is an editor status mark, and there are arrow stripes on the right gutter. But to navigate there, you don't need to use a mouse. The shortcuts are F2 and Shift F2. And one more navigation action. You see the reference at the caret is highlighted. To jump to the next or previous reference, first press Command-Shift-F7. Now this highlighting doesn't disappear as you move the caret. And now Command-G and Command-Shift-G jumps to the next or previous reference. OK, now a couple of words about code completion. What key do you use to select an item from the code completion list? Most people use Enter, and in most cases, it works just fine. You may have a trouble if the caret is inside of a word. In this case, Enter inserts the new item and leaves old characters out there. If that's not what you want, use Tab. It replaces the tail of the identifier. OK, what other keys do you know that can select an item from the completion list? Well, space, dot, and comma do, but effectively it's the same as enter followed by a corresponding character. I mean, an action that does a bit different job. It is Command-Shift-Enter, which stands for the action complete statement. The goal of this action is to try to make the statement syntactically complete and move the carrot to the next line. It tries to add semicolon, parentheses, braces, and more. For example, in this incomplete do-while statement, complete statement adds a while keyword, parentheses, and a semicolon. In this if statement, and know that I don't have to use code completion. Complete statement, it's also known as smart enter. It works with the completion list, and also you may use it just in the editor. And in this example with if statement, complete statement adds a pair of braces and puts the caret between them. Okay, how to write the same if statement using even less keystrokes. So-called postfix completion feature will help. Well, I still have to manually type the condition. But know that I didn't write if before it. Instead, I type .if after it and press tab. Thank you. This is a brand new feature powered by the Dart SDK 2.0. There are about 20 postfix completion templates available for that. Take a look at them in preferences. They're quite handy. OK, so have you learned anything new so far? Really nothing? OK, thank you. Now please welcome Jaime for more cool features.
So two things that come to mind. The presentation assistant, I encourage everyone to install it for two reasons. One, kind of funny commands that are deep down inside of your menus that you find yourself doing over and over again. Your computer is going to be telling you what the keyboard commands are for them, right? To hopefully encourage you to use your keyboard instead, right? The second reason that you should all go install the presentation assistant is not for your own benefit, but for the benefit of coworkers, right? So as you get more proficient in IntelliJ and you're kind of clicking around and doing keystrokes, your coworkers aren't constantly asking, what did you just press? They're like watching the keyboard, watching it, right? So it's called Presentation Assistant. Go install it when you get home. The second thing that comes to mind, and this is, it's a real pleasure to have Alex here, because yesterday he shows, the example of, let me get things set back up here a little bit, of, you type in Dart analysis, and then, Alt-Enter, to set this up. And I said, that's great, let me exit out of this dialog, right? And then, you cannot hit exit out of this dialog, which I just found just endlessly entertaining. So before we continue and talk about a little bit about Dart and the Dart editor, we should talk a little bit about the Dart analysis server. What is it? What does it do? What have we been talking about when you've heard the Dart analysis, the analyzer? What is this thing? The first thing to realize is that it is a feature. It is a product shipped as part of the Dart SDK. Right? It is a local server which communicates through JSON pipe to provide all of the Dart resolution for your editor, IntelliJ in this case. Right? It provides all of the code completions, a lot of the search, the kind of call hierarchy, your errors and warnings, your navigation, your syntax highlighting, everything comes from the analysis server. Furthermore, and this is the future, and you saw a little bit of it yesterday with the lightning talk from Mike. It also provides, the Dart analysis server also provides a plugin framework so that other kind of frameworks think Flutter and Angular. And packages can provide their own sets of information to editors, right? Their own sets of errors and warnings, their own sets of code completions, their own navigation, etc. Again, you saw that a little bit yesterday with Mike. So let's jump right into it. This is the Flutter Hello World example that you have all seen, that you all love. And the first thing that you will be doing, maybe doing, is holding down the kind of command key to navigate around, right? Command click, you navigate around. Command B also does the same thing, right? Kind of common stuff that you do inside of any IDE. But you may not need to go to the declaration, right, where some class is declared. You may need to go find the usages. So it's called find usages. And if you can't remember the keyboard action, you can go type in find usages. Alt F7 on Mac. Alt F7 brings up the same dialog down here, and it breaks it down by the kind of the declaration of the constructor. It breaks it down by the usages, read, write, access, documentation usages, all of these things. It'll list them out. Right? So that's kind of navigating around, exploring, find usages. The next common way to kind of learn a code base, kind of navigate around might be, the call hierarchy, right? So call hierarchy might be what you want. So here's a constructor. We'll use the same one. The call hierarchy is Control-Alt-H. And again, as Alex showed a minute ago, if you can't remember that, just call the call hierarchy, right? Open up Command Shift A and just type in call hierarchy. It'll bring the same thing. And so what this does is instead of just a list, this brings a tree that'll be an ever-expanding tree of who does this call, et cetera, all the way down to kind of figure out a path given some error message or whatnot. That was navigation. Let's find usages, call hierarchy. Type hierarchy. We have a type hierarchy, especially handy with things like maybe widgets that you've been hearing about. It is not Command H, it's Control H. Otherwise, your windows all go away in Mac. So type hierarchy, right? So this is showing my home page is a stateful widget, is a widget all the way up, right? So another way to kind of statically, without the inspector, which is runtime, this is all static analysis inside the IDE. All right, moving along. We looked at the Dart analysis view a moment ago. Let's get it up. Dart analysis view. Here we go. Just a few errors in there. Let's get some more. All right, so I've got some more errors. Dart analysis view lets me do things like sort by the description, sort by location, right? Let me look at things just in this particular file. I can also sort by the severity. I can sort by this file. I can filter out things that aren't in my project, in this directory, whatever you need. All right, that's the analysis view. F2. So let's say you come to some new file. You've got a lot of stuff in your analysis view. You want to know if there's anything in here, right, as far as errors go. F2 lets me scroll through the errors, right? So I have some. I'm scrolling through them. Shift F2 does the opposite, right? Very handy. This little icon up here lets me kind of toggle this and say only go through errors, only go through errors and warnings, whatever. Okay, that's the analysis view. That's the errors. Navigation around your Dart, call hierarchy, type hierarchy, all very useful. But the most useful thing about the talk, this is the first instance of my shirt, is the Alt-Enter. We already learned one of the instances. This is from the shirt, right? And that is the following. So with a bunch of errors and warnings in Dart, you hit Alt-Enter, and it suggests things. So in this case, it's saying, you don't have some import to get the correct resolution. And here I know that I need to get material Flutter. And there we go. And it's all cleaned up, right? So handy dandy, Alt-Enter on certain error messages. Alt-Enter. OK. Let me try to get to my other window. This is an abbreviated version of what you saw yesterday in the lightning talk. This is the analysis server, right? So the analysis server is all Dart. It's not Flutter necessarily, it's not Angular specifically, but here I've got the Angular plugin inside of, updated with IntelliJ, and so I'm going to get errors and warnings and hints with my HTML. And if you saw Lightning Talk again, you already saw this, right? These things are all resolved. And since I'm in IntelliJ, I get the value from IntelliJ, right? So if I'm editing some tag, it should be smart enough to know that I need to edit both tags, right? And so this is value you get from the framework, from the IntelliJ framework, right? And so hopefully the better editing experience from IntelliJ plus things like the additional errors and warnings for your Angular tags and whatnot should yield a much happier experience. And so that's the Angular plugin. All right, I'm going to jump back to an example you have all seen many times. And that is the one right here, the hot reload. If you have not seen it, if you have not caught it on stage yet, I will point it out right now. And that is the following. Let's get my run dialog up here. Here we go, it's running. Onto my simulator. I can come down here, and you've all seen, change red to blue. Great, and I can come hit hot reload. We all love hot reload, right? The improvement, though, over the last few months has been a save action. So save, hot reload on save, right? So this helps you from having to move your mouse down to hot reload or having to decide between hot reload and a full reboot of the whole app. Kind of helps keep you on the rails. You can imagine things in the future like if we know that hot reload is not going to be sufficient just to do the whole app. By just doing it on save, try to keep you on the rails, keep you from having to move the cursor to hot reload, etc. So that's hot reload on save. Point out some other features that have been added into the Dart plugin, specifically for Flutter. So in Flutter, it's all about build It's all about your build method, right? It's that structure of the build. And so when modifying or exploring or reading existing code, right, it'd be really handy to be able to say, okay, my build has some widgets that contain widgets that contain widgets. Let me go through and navigate through these. And so because even the structure view comes from the analysis server, we now have that ability, right? So I can come down here and explore around the app to say, okay, here we go. Here's the, I've got some column and navigating to source, right? So with the navigate to and from source, the button's right up here selected. When I select in source, it's going to select in the structure view and vice versa, everything you'd want and expect. So that is the build method support inside the structure view in IntelliJ. All right, navigating around the build method a little bit more. You may have caught it this morning. It's sometimes kind of confusing. Where does this curly brace end for my center to see what it's wrapped in? You kind of have the highlighting from IntelliJ here and the hover kind of at the top there. We also have the kind of end of line markers here. This is not source code. This center comment here. That's provided from the analysis server still to mark the end of that constructor invocation to indicate that, okay, everything above this is wrapped. Etc. Now let's say that I know that everything in my center constructor, my center widget is good. I need to modify and tweak stuff around it. What I really want to do is fold stuff up into that constructor. And so as of a version or two ago, you can now do that, right? So I can now fold everything up, wrap it all up, and now work on the things around it. Hover to see what's in it. Kind of does what you want. So you kind of navigate around, edit different parts, ignore or not ignore specific parts as you're working on your widget structure. But you're not just exploring necessarily, not necessarily tweaking. Sometimes what you need to do is like wrap a widget inside of another widget, right? And the missing parentheses or bracket can be a big nuisance. And so this brings me to the second instance of the t-shirt here, which is Alt-Enter. So Alt-Enter, I can convert to a child, move the widget up, wrap with a new widget. So in this demo, I'm going to wrap it with another center, and it's not going to change on simulator after hot reload. So let's see it. Wrap with a center, enter. It put the closing braces everywhere I need. Right, it added this, the hot reload on save, and it doesn't change anything as it shouldn't, right? So that's live demo. Worked, yeah, yeah. Okay, one final little feature. So we saw a little bit ago the postfix completions. This last one that I want to show is this one. So ST. ST brings up these three things. Create a new stateful widget, a new widget with an animation controller, and a new stateless widget. So you can add your own inside the settings. But when creating widgets and whatnot, sometimes it's nice to have some boilerplate, and you should not be typing out the boilerplate, right? If you have your own custom boilerplate, go create your own, one of these things. So let's just see what one of them looks like. So new stateless widget. It puts the cursor directly where the class name should be. DartConf, whatever, and it brings me to where where it expects I should be typing again. So ST, because I can't remember the rest of them. Some new animation controller, right. And that is everything that I wanted to show. Thank you.